Hey there, and welcome back to Sea Power. By the time that you're watching this video, the game is finally released into early access. That means you can play it. You don't have to worry about just getting your fix from content creators such as myself anymore. Today I'm playing the Operation Hidden Lillies, and I have created a very nice briefing for that. You can see that some things are even redacted in this mission planning. Your submarines K503 and Oscar 1 and K244 and Victor 3 are to meet at the designated point with Volkov. This is a submarine tender ship and its escort to conduct at-sea replenishment. Then you are to lay down in the designated area to await passage of the enemy convoy. So there is supposedly a smaller convoy and a main enemy high-value target convoy. The resupply is going to be right around there. In what is estimated as 20 minutes, a flight of Tu-95 RTs will pass near the area of operation to gather further data and help us clarify the picture. The Tu-95 is a recon plane, so it is not packing anti-ship missiles of its own. South of the rendezvous point operates Barometer Okean class spy ship. It's the Okean AGI. Furthermore, not to raise suspicion, patrol group Curtin has been recalled to further east. So they're heading further east and potentially will intercept. If need be, use it to your advantage. We know for a fact that the enemy submarines are not operating this side of Svalbard at the moment. Attack the US convoy passing north of Svalbard. Focus your efforts on high-value targets like landing ships and fleet auxiliaries. It is assessed as unlikely that target convoy will be screened by ASW warships. Still, you are required to positively identify any and all contacts you come upon. And of course, they might have helicopters, and with that, they still have ASW. It is assessed as highly likely that enemy AWACS platform will conduct routine flyovers south of your position. We know about the schedules and track the flights constantly. Those are not to worry about, so that's right down there. NATO submarines are not anticipated to be a threat on the northern side of Svalbard. We have intel on 1 or 2 submarines southwest of your operations area. It is assessed as highly likely that the enemy convoy will be followed by a smaller group. Those vessels are considered secondary targets. Maintain MCON. Radio silence until otherwise directed. The AGI unit in the operation area operates under its own discretion. Okay. Very nice mission. Our plans are foiled. The enemy has detected your resupply ship. Abort preparations for operations. Save your submarines and support ship. Try to sink the enemy landing ships to complete the mission. So, that shifted quickly. Okay, what do we have? Surface ships. This is a Submarine class destroyer, so it is more geared towards air defense. We have the Grom, which is, what is that, Tarantul? Anochka. I always get them messed up. And you must be a Grisha. Okay, so that's the patrol group. And our submarines. There's the convoy, I suspect. Here's the barograph, that is the spy ship. And here we have both the supply ship and its escort. So that's the Volkov resupply group. I'm going to tell those to head east at best speed, but this being a tender, essentially, I don't expect it to run very quickly. It's doing 14 knots at best speed. It can turn like nobody's business, though. As for the submarines that we have, we got the K503, which is surfaced. We're not doing that. Go below. And you, at least, are already submerged. Weapon platform-wise, the K244 has 6576s. These are wake-homing carrier killers. So very, very sizable torpedoes. They have a good range as well, at 27 miles, and they're quick at 50 knots, but I only carry 4. Test 71 is sheerly anti-submarine, and the USAT 80s can do surface and subsurface. Add to that the ability to launch the SSN-16, and you'll also get at least some sort of standoff anti-submarine capabilities, but outside of that, it doesn't have a whole lot of anti-surface warfare capabilities. The same cannot be said for... Are you reversing? The same cannot be said for this submarine. The Charlie 2 over here has the SSN-9, which is an anti-surface missile with a range of about 60 miles, if I can detect something that far away. They also got the 5365Ks. These are those the wake homers? Yep, they're the wake homing surface torpedoes, anti-surface torpedoes. And on top of that, we have a couple of Set-40s as purely self-defense torps. And the Set-65, in case you are dealing with an actual submarine, which is detected and fairly close to your position. Now, I don't like that I've been detected, especially if there's a helicopter this close nearby. I don't like that one bit. Where's that recon flight? There. Good lord, how long are you gonna take? 40 minutes? Ain't nobody got time for that. Not if the enemy task force is 20 miles out. Because that has me very worried. It also means that I am almost gonna have to make the call whether I want to launch missiles at these things or not. And then run like hell. Is it possible to get rid of that elo? No. Not at this time. If they want to fly very close to this one, I would welcome it, but I rather doubt it. And even then, I have a 76 to shoot them down. So that is an extremely limited option. Can you kindly return to your formation? Because you are in your formation. Okay. So we know where they are. This is where it gets a bit challenging. I can have my submarine race north and still be able to launch missiles without immediately getting met by a helicopter. But that also pushes me away from a launch point with torpedoes. So I'm going to head northeast. I'm going to go very deep and I'm going to run with that one. K-244 is going to have to just sit here and listen. Our information on these things is getting better. We know it is most likely a merchant. And considering it's a merchant, it's probably well escorted. But they said there was not to be expected a whole lot of ASW activity. That's pretty decent. We know this is a warship based on its own EM emissions. Another Hilo. Nimitz, Ticonderoga, Lehigh, Belknap, or Iowa. Well, that would be a fairly high value target, I'd say. Let's go a little deeper. I'm going to stay above the layer. Listen in. The layer is at what depth? 369. Very good. As for these guys, they do have their own in-ship missiles, but I think their capabilities are not yet sufficient. They can reach out to 135 miles, which puts me outside of missile range here. Now, there was supposedly another submarine group, I think somewhere here. And I thought there was a second convoy coming, like, here. This spy ship might prove to be very useful. It is running its surface search radar. Posing... posing as a... maybe as a trawler, I'm not sure. Now, if I want to torpedo this guy, he's holding still. He's doing 1 knot. Now he's increasing speed again. There's another. If I want to torpedo that guy, I'm going to have to probably get quite close to him. Yeah, definitely hostile contacts. Could be a Newport, that's a landing ship. What about you, friend? We simply don't know enough. Okay. Do these guys have a towed array? They do. And we are running it. Good. Let's set a range circle. I have a range... Well, I'm going to stick to about 10 miles. Because yes, I have 27-mile range with that carrier killer, but I'm going to save those for the big targets. So at this point, I am in range. Let's head south, southeast, so that we'll be able to listen in. Keep in mind, it is still an early access game, and as such, I don't believe that these helicopters are capable of dropping sonar buoys just yet. That is disappointing, but that is something that we'll just have to take for granted given the current state of the game. Much the same as carriers are not capable of launching aircraft, that is, hostile carriers. They simply don't do that. Alright, you are at a pretty nice depth. You're going to go all ahead flank. We are 15 miles out. I hope they can't hear that. I am also under the layer. We're going to go at 24 knots. That's fine. I'm going to get some distance. I'm going to have this other surface group head east. All ahead flank. And when can we expect that aircraft? 21:56, that's in 50 minutes. I don't have 50 minutes, none of these things are racing in at 13 knots, because at 13 knots that puts them about there in an hour, provided that they maintain their current course and speed. So given that, that means that this aircraft will be able to assist, at least with detection. Okay, maybe we can use him. I can have this thing go all stop, but I don't think it's going to be very useful. Let's just have it continue to listen in, try and classify these contacts, and potentially pick up the next group using the barograph, that AGI. Spy ship. The merchant right next to it. We see the spy ship? Yeah, there. There's the spy ship. As for these gentlemen, if they're running at 27 knots, we might be able to get into range and launch a missile strike coming in from the back. That gives me the capability of launching missiles using this cruiser. Destroyer. Submarine. I don't think that Nanuchka is going to get into range quite well, because the Styx doesn't have... Oh, sorry, it's not the Styx. Yeah, it's a 59-mile range missile. The Siren. And you don't actually carry any anti-ship missiles. You are very much, well, dealing with anti-submarine warfare. Okay. The plan, K-244 is going to prepare torpedo attacks on these targets. The rest of them are going to race into range, and this other submarine is going to race away. Sort of using the Volkov as a resupply cover. And thereby getting into a more favorable position to also launch her own missiles. In the situation that I do want to launch these missiles, they have a minimum range of 3 miles. So I can pop up right next to something if I absolutely have to, but I would rather not. A little later, our southern patrol group over here is picking up helicopters. Got one SH-2F, there's another one a little bit farther away. And of course, we still have 2 helicopters here, tracks 7006 and 08. I know that this is a Charleston, this is an Austin, a Newport, and a Kalawa. So that remains to be seen what that last contact is, but it has to be some sort of warship. Because those helicopters came from somewhere. They didn't launch from one of these things. They simply don't carry helos. They're just there as sort of, well, targets. You got submarines and targets. So that really makes me question, where's that surface ship gone? Because I lost contact with it, and that has me a little worried. Because even though I'm running my towed array, and I'm doing only 5 knots, I'm not actually detecting it. As for these helos, they are probably picking up my patrol group here. And at the moment there's not much I can do about that. This is my weapons range, that 13.5 miles. So if this helicopter would be so kind to close in, I can definitely eliminate it. If it does not, well, I can sit here and I can do a whole lot of nothing. What I do want to do is make sure there's no air contacts rushing towards my position. By the time that, at least for the time being, that does not seem to be the case. Let's go MCON again. Just these helicopters, but they came from somewhere. I don't exactly know what sort of range they have. But this guy seems to have been on this course for a while. So let's say he's on a course of 127. So he came from right about there. That does mean that there is another group somewhere over there. That could have been the second smaller group. Maybe they have better escorts. As for my K-244, I'm 15 miles away from the Charleston. I need to be within 10 range. So we need to get a little closer. In the north, one of their helicopters has ventured a little bit too close to one of my ships here. This is the SKR-112. So that's the Petche-2 frigate that's currently patrolling around the resupply ship. And this helicopter has gotten a little bit too brazen for my taste. So we'll have to knock it out of the sky, or at least show our dissatisfaction with their current position in life. Unfortunately, it's just going to have to rely upon guns, because that's all I can do. I don't have missiles. And I have... I got up at 300 shells. Maybe we'll get lucky. Who knows? I guess you only need to get lucky once with a flak, and you should be able to eliminate that helicopter. But until such a time, this thing is going to continually relay their position, or our position, back to their formation, with all potentially catastrophic results as an effect. It looks quite impressive, but this helicopter is completely dauntless. It doesn't give any shits about coming under fire. Doesn't change course, doesn't go lower, doesn't go higher. I think that's something that might still need to get programmed in. As for the helos here, still way out of range. I wouldn't put it past this Petya to just empty out its magazines, because we're probably reloading. Yeah, we only have 200 shells left. I wouldn't put it past them to just empty out everything in order to try and deal with that helicopter. But I think we are out of weapons range. No, we still have a little bit. 8.5 miles. Versus a helo, it's 7 miles. And the salvo's a 4. I think we're gonna blow through the whole magazine. So be it. Does this help with accuracy? Ah, there's the other contact. Oh, they're pretty close. They're 10 miles away from the sub. Oh, there's another one. Okay, fine. In this case, I can go radioactive because they definitely know where I'm at. It's just a question of when are they going to start shooting missiles at me. Because if these were warships with harpoons, they could have done it already. Update, they are. Weapons tight. Ceasefire against that helicopter. I need to at least pretend that we have some sort of defense against that incoming harpoon. Yeah, Vampire says SKR 112. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that you can do about that. I'm going to tell you to leave the formation and turn you broadside. Maybe that way I'll be able to intercept a missile. I kind of doubt it. Can you figure out what this is, please? We have them on surface search, but we don't know what it is. I'm surprised the submarine doesn't have it. It's 10 miles out. What is so quiet that the submarine can't actually hear it? Not on passive sonar, not on the towed array sonar, nothing. We're just not getting anything. Anyway, we know it's a warship, because that thing just launched a harpoon at us. There it is. And I think the harpoon is going to go right for the transport. Right for our resupply tender. You can see that the guns are once again trying to act upon it, but I have my doubts whether that'll actually be feasible. Given the... well, the cluster accuracy against something as big as a helicopter. That means that this missile is probably going to go right through. And this supply ship doesn't even have as much as chaff. So I think we are pretty doomed. I don't even see that thing on radar anymore. Nope, not a clue. But it's probably out there. Yep, there it is. Pop-up phase, pop-down phase, and right into the bridge. There's another one coming directly for the SKR, which is now out of guns. Doesn't have any ammo anymore, so let's chaff it. And then we're going to reload another minute of chaff. I doubt this missile is going to get fooled by that. But stranger things have happened. Come on, reload quicker. 45 seconds. I don't think we have 45 seconds. That thing's 2 miles out. At a speed of 540 knots. We don't have that amount of time. Yeah, this thing is going to go right into the pop-up. Ignores the nice chaff flares, or the chaff decoy, and goes right into the frigates. Boom. Looks like it hit the torpedo launchers, which might have gone up instantly. Okay. So that was fun. Let's do that again soon. Oh, they also sunk the Barograph. What the hell happened to you? Volkov is the resupply ship. This thing never reported of Empire. Oh, there we go. It did. 21:42, 3 minutes ago. Yeah, that thing's toast. It has absolutely no way of defending itself. Alright, I guess it's my time to start shooting back. Now we finally have him on sonar. Briefly. There's 3 helos out there. This is getting a little scary. Also, I lost my surface observation platforms. So I don't know where those helicopters are at. Okay, use the sonar to figure out more about this contact. We still only have him on radar. Radar from what? Radar from the Volkov. That's impressive. Your surface radar still works. Slight damage. No flooding, but all our cargo hulls got destroyed. Okay. There we go. There's the helicopter. See, that makes me very concerned about launching missiles from this submarine. Because I think it'll not be a very safe endeavor. Oh, there's 3 of them. Right. Okay. Yeah, it's getting a little more tricky than I was expecting. But that's good. Volkov's been hit again. Another harpoon. Which I never actually saw coming. It's been hit twice within the span of about 20 seconds. And there's another one. They really want this thing dead. Boom. And another! Wow. Temper, temper. You think it's dead yet? You think you've gotten it? I mean, there's not a whole lot on the ship left alive. Okay, I think we might have been lied to regarding the light escort. Another harpoon? Jesus. At least we know it came out of 7014, which is over there. That's interesting information. So that thing's harpoon capable. That aircraft is still hundreds of miles out. Yeah. Altitude, 30,000 feet. ETA, 25 minutes. I need more intel before I'm able to launch torpedoes at this thing. We finally know what the ship is. It's a Perry. So much for not having any ASW efforts. This thing is within 6 miles of the K-244, and that is close enough for me to engage it. There's also an Adam-class destroyer behind it, and something else. Could be a Belknap, could be a Leahy, most likely a cruiser of that variety. So, let's send out a torpedo against the Perry, and we use the USAT-80s for this. The USAT-80s, unfortunately, are not mid-course correcting, so it's not like I have a wire, I cannot tell these torpedoes where to go or what to do. I'm going to assume this thing is doing 13 knots in a course of 094. So in half an hour, he's going to be right about there. My torpedo travels 50 knots, I think. 48, close enough. So my torpedo is going to travel 50 knots. So 1/10 of that is in 6 minutes. He's going to be about 5 miles out. So I need to send my torpedo right about there. Is my expectation. Because that's going to take... No, actually, that's going to take him half an hour. Yep. Weapon away. Okay. Now, let's go below the layer. I do not want to stay up here. And I kind of want to increase speed, but at the same time, that's kind of dangerous. The Adams, unfortunately, is not in range yet. I could send a carrier killer against this wake here, and maybe I'll get him. But it's a bit of a... weapon I don't really rely upon that much. I have tried them, the 76-65. Sorry, 65-76, but I don't like them that much. I find those wake homers to be relatively unreliable. Now the problem with not being able to correct my torpedo's course is that I am basically getting backtracked. The moment that they find out there's a torpedo in the water, they just shoot a torpedo right back at me. I'm going to change course north. I am going to send another USAT-80 in the general direction of this Charleston. And then we're going to increase to 2/3. The towed array should be able to keep these things on detection, but for some reason this Perry is still not detected. At 6 miles. We have him on radar, we have him on their emissions, but we don't have him on sonar. And that really surprises me, considering that I have my towed array out. And I'm 6 miles out from a surface ship. Why am I not detecting it? I can't quite explain that. Anyway, this Weapon Seeker and the projected course of the parry do seem to line up quite well. So hopefully we'll be able to eliminate that parry, or at least cripple it so much so that it's going to be ineffective. Yeah, there we go, it's a Lillies. Alright, the Lillies doesn't have that many anti-submarine options, but it does have the RUR-5, which is capable of hitting me at 6 miles. So that's a factor that I need to be aware of. Don't approach this thing within 6 miles. The parry has their own torpedo capability. However, those Mark 46 only have 8 mile range, and I'm at 6.24. So I should be able to get out of their range the moment that we get too close. This U-set should be able to kill off that Charleston, which is the first of those transports. And this torpedo, I think I might have mistimed it slightly. But that Seeker cone should be big enough to go after that parry all by itself. There we go, it's gone active. Searching for something. Just keeps on its course. It should be fine. As for down here, not much going on. We do have helicopters flying about everywhere. And that's about it. And over to the southeast, we've seen a couple of merchants, which were kind enough to identify themselves to the bears. Alright, my dear torpedo. How are you faring? Range 1 mile. 7028's faded. Alright. I'm not seeing any response from the other warships yet. At this point, we should be getting closer to where the torpedo is going to detect that parry. Unless this parry has some sort of bug where it's just undetectable, but I think it knows that there's a torpedo on the way, because it has just changed course to the southeast, whereas it was very stable. But by doing that, it might have sealed its fate, because now the torpedo is changing its course and going for the projected point of impact. So this parry is definitely aware, is definitely running off. And even at 26 knots, my sonar doesn't detect it. Yes, I'm below the layer, but I've also tried it above. It's no avail. Anyway, I have 1 hull, and I have 1 torpedo, and we're going to arrange a meeting. This parry might still drop a noisemaker, or a decoy. I don't think it's going to serve them that well. Now it's dark, so you can't quite make it out, but that's the hull right there. So that should be the end of that parry. That, however, does not mean that we're in the clear, because they still have the capabilities of the helicopters. They can still vector to my position and throw a torpedo into the water. Whether they do that, I'm not too sure. This is where I'm going to end part 1 of this video. In part 2, we're going to engage the rest of the convoy. Identifying and classifying contacts usually takes up quite a while, but I think it is a very important and also quite interesting part of sea power. So join me next time, as we're going to have to roll up the rest of the convoy and also see if we can get a bit more information about that other group somewhere to the west. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for part 2.